Hi, it's Silver, and I am here to talk today about communication skills. Um, it has become obvious that a lot of people are feeling isolated, and through statistics, we have found out that that has been something that has been increasing more over time as our population increases, though that might not be the only reason. Um, Definitely media being a big part of people's lives and having devices that they can escape to a comfortable reality easily and not have to face uncomfortable realities is definitely a big part of that. There has been a lot of statistics that are changing very quickly, and the rate of suicide is going up very quickly, even more so in the last few years, but it has been going up a lot for the last like 20 years. And that is in greatest part because of isolation. And illnesses that are stress related are increasing. And that's in great part because of a difficulty with communication, which leads to isolation. And another factor is there's, so stress related illnesses are going up, suicide is going up. Um, and communication is a big part of that. See, I just spaced out right now because I'm actually isolated right now and I haven't had anybody to talk to for a while. And that's why I am forcing myself to make this video because there's no reason why this should be happening. Mental illnesses that are environmentally induced are also increasing drastically. And all of this stuff is happening because it becomes more difficult to communicate when you don't have the ability to communicate. And having the ability to communicate with someone that you can trust, which with someone that the conversation goes in a way that makes your brain stimulated so that you can open up and talk more easily, so that you feel alleviated from sort of just thinking to yourself all the time. Getting input from other people is an important factor in being able to know whether or not your thoughts make sense, or whether or not they make sense to other people, or maybe you need input or see it from a different perspective. There's a lot of different reasons why communication is very important, and there's a lot of reasons why isolation ends up being something that is negatively detrimental towards the psyche. Though we do need a balance, we need a 50-50 balance of being comfortable and being uncomfortable, and resting and relaxing, however you want to look at it. People are living more than 50% in their comfort zones with communication and with their brain stimulation by spending too much time in media, by spending too much time just only around people that don't challenge them, that don't educate them, that don't try to strengthen them by not making them uncomfortable. Our society has greatly learned to focus on the comfortable. And that, like I said, it's making people weak. It's making people incapable of learning as well, seeing different perspectives as well, and accepting the diverse lifestyles of other people. So, this being said, I think it's important to start addressing communication. I am someone who has been praised for being very good at communicating and very good at listening throughout my life. Because of that, I've been a counsel type person for many people. I've helped a lot of people. But it's getting to the point now with the added social issues that are happening in the world, that people are becoming incapable of communicating. Even many people with extremely, high IQ, intelligent people, people that have a lot that they've done in their life, people that are doing a lot, people that have a lot to contribute, have important and interesting things to talk about, and things that other people, information that other people would even find viable. It doesn't matter. People are becoming isolated. Many, especially educated and intelligent people, I've noticed, are suffering from this a lot. And people that are neurodiverse and people with mental illnesses and people that are disabled. Um, like I've said in my videos before, it's the tables have shifted in a way that, you know, the rich people have more money and the poor people have less, and, you know, prices are going up, it's harder to survive, and that doesn't leave as much time for people. And everybody got really comfortable with a pretty lush existence leading up to the 1990s, which it was really the peak of our civilization. And people got really used to having a lot of conveniences and living a kind of like lush, comfortable lifestyle with a lot of media. And now, unfortunately, we've passed the point in our history when we can sustain that for as large of a population as we have. And it wasn't really that good for us anyway to not have as many challenges. Now, we don't need to go back to being 100 years ago, but we do need to face the fact that, you know, we are a susceptible organic species that doesn't need to like forcefully be the top of the food chain all the time, and therefore not be susceptible to natural influences that would narrow down our population. So now that there's more people, it's getting harder to survive. And instead of clipping the things that were not as important, like media related veg out things, because the human brain actually didn't naturally turn off much before the introduction of screen based media. Your brain turns off if you're watching media for very long. It doesn't matter how educational you think it is, that still happens. So now people they've gotten addicted to their brains turning off, and people are choosing to have more of the things that turn their brain off than the things that stimulate them. Inevitably, people are choosing their convenient, entertained lifestyles over human connection. Human connection is the thing that ended up getting clipped. And that's not normally what would happen in the progression of a historical cycle of the rise and fall of a society. Normally, people would be valuing their human connection more right now. But technology, the internet, and devices and media are the only reason why this isn't happening. So the reason why I'm making this video partially is because I've been suffering because of communication. I'm watching other people that never had trouble in their long lives before because they're older. People can't find anybody to talk to anymore. People don't have time to talk. They think they don't because they're not willing to clip something that's less important. And then another factor also is that people have forgotten how to talk to each other. Um, it's sad that people are dying from illnesses that are stress related because they can't communicate correctly. It's sad that people are ending up not being able to function and ending up with mental illness that would be cured environmentally from better communication. Now we got to remember that, you know, getting illnesses that are stress related or mental illnesses that, you know, could be fixed through communication, if this stuff starts to happen to somebody, this means losing your job, losing your friends, losing your family, losing your spouse, losing being able to take care of your kids and your pets, and being able to pay your bills, and losing your belongings, losing your place to live, and then, you know, ending up on the streets. So when you see somebody on the streets, remember that they, you know, maybe that it is not their fault, and that could happen to you too. So communication breakdowns are a big part of what's contributing to suffering, and I'm watching it get worse, statistic and otherwise. And I wanted to say that I think it's time that we actually start communicating to one another. I had some communication breakdown affecting my psychological ability to function. Then it starts affecting your body, and you know, you get sick because you don't move, because you don't have the motivation to, because, well, you feel like when you put yourself out in the world, no one embraces you, accepts you, Nobody maybe likes you, wants you, or wants to contribute to what you are, or cooperate with what you want, or you feel isolated. You don't feel like you're a part of the world. So you stop wanting to do anything, because we do actually need to feel connected, praised, loved. We need to feel like the serotonin releases from accomplishment. And some people, they don't feel much of that. I mean, even if you say you can do it for yourself, but if you get treated badly, if you get treated negatively and you don't get responded to positively for so long, you don't even know how to respond positively to yourself within your psyche. And yeah, we can fix that with meditation and with therapy. And I mean, there's many ways that we can clear that out and be ourselves. But if we're continuing to get exposed to the things that make our confidence lower and make us feel more isolated by having a non-positive and non-productive communication, you can't just keep fixing yourself from the same wound getting stabbed over and over again every day. You have to change your environment from getting the wound, getting the injury, getting traumatized by having um, less than productive communication. So I'm going to give an example. This example is pretty broad, and it covers a large amount of the communication dysfunction. I knew that I would someday have to start talking to people about this, but I didn't think it would be this bad, and I didn't think it would be this soon. I am somebody who very much understands how to communicate well. I was taught how to communicate initially, though I've been through many different forms of education of communication. It was initially from the tribal people that raised me, the tribal Native Americans here in America, the family that raised me, which I am obviously related to. But they everything was really picky about communication. And then when I got older and got in touch with the European side of my family, I learned even more about communication. The initial tribal aspect is the energetic aspect. You look at somebody in the eyes. You actually take the time to communicate, to connect with them when you're communicating. You look at somebody when they're talking. You don't think about something else when they're talking. You look in their eyes. You respond to what they say in a way that makes them feel heard. You actually listen, and then and it's not a big deal. It's something you can do throughout the day. It's nothing you have to set up a special time for. In fact, it's something that is the most important thing. The most important thing is to communicate. And now people, they think you have to set up some special time to be able to just be yourself, open up about something you could just get off your mind quickly. And these things build up over time, because we are meant to just live kind of, collectively with people that we're similar to and that we can trust, that will be able to help our brains function better, to be able to be more productive as a community. And we are meant to sort of shed the things off our back as they come. And sometimes, yeah, you have to build up some things and push and wait, but that is supposed to be rare, and it has become normal. So that's a really bad problem. In tribal communication, which is the true, real, actual communication that functions best organically for the human psyche, for all humans on Earth, the basic level of it is, it doesn't matter how intelligent you're speaking or what you're talking about. What matters is that you're actually connecting, that you're actually listening, that you're not thinking about something else, that you're not waiting for your turn to talk, that you're not in a rush for it to get over with. Um, Nowadays, there's this other paradigm that has I've noticed it's taken over now. It's to the point where I kind of wasn't paying attention for a while. I was sucked into my own life with my own dramas, and the world shifted around me very quickly. And I noticed that what happened is people started relying on what's on the internet for what's true and what's happening and what's acceptable. And there's all this, and the collective hive mind way of thinking sort of took over. And now it's people care too much about what other people think. some people aren't going to want to hear this, but the politically correct way of thinking is making it so that people can't communicate. It's making people isolated, and it's contributing to many people suffering and dying, because we're supposed to have like small sects of people that think and feel and believe and practice life in different ways. um, Earth is meant to be a clanal, tribal place for human beings, which are extremely diverse. We're not all the same. We're not even close to all the same. We're too complex and sentient and intelligent to all be the same. We have the ability to develop and evolve in many different ways, which makes us different than a lot of the other species on this planet. And we're definitely different than all the species as far as our diversity and ability to adapt and evolve quickly, though, as being sentient beings that are also capable of communication through language. So, that being said, we're the ones who can, leave behind a mark, like our ancient ancestors did, and we need to take more seriously our communication. Um, the second part of of my education in communication came from the European side of my family, and that very much had to do with the scholarly and also related to magic and intentional effectiveness in an intellectual manner. Our words are manifesting reality. Our words, our thoughts, and our feelings create our reality. So if we know that using our words has a play in creating our reality, we take our words seriously, and then we also allow our thoughts to flow out into words so that we can, make our energy into something tangible, and from there, maybe from our words to our hands, to make something tangible, create an action in our life. um, it's like a spell, and that isn't a bad thing. It's just, you're shaping your reality. So you want to take your words seriously, and you also want to be able to use your thoughts to create your words. You don't want to be the same as everybody else. You don't want to think and feel all the same things as everybody else. You want to share things that make sense because they make sense. That's why you share things, because you understand them, because they make sense, because you've had collective experiences which show you the affirmation of the truth of these things. And what you do not do is you don't just force yourself to think and feel something because somebody else does, because they will not like you as much. Because if you don't, then you need to, if that's true, then you need to find new friends and family, find a new tribe, find a new clan, find people that think the way that you do, because and also the way that we think and feel is adaptable, and it does change over time based on our own experiences and feelings and things that actually make sense to us. But it doesn't change, but you can't change the way you conduct your life if you're in a functional manner. If you're living, you're happy, and you're in a functional manner, you don't want to change that. Even if you read something on Google, even if fact checker says it's not true, it doesn't matter. First of all, I wanted to point out that fact checkers is full of shit a lot of times, and they get things wrong. And I wanted to say Google doesn't know everything, Wiki doesn't know everything. And we need to be able to share stories with each other and be able to get each other to understand things in here, actually see the functionality of the way the gears turn and the way that something is actually built from the inside out, how it actually functions in your brain. Can you get that idea to actually function in your brain like you built it from scratch? That's when you understand something. So, that being said, we need to actually start communicating more instead of just relying on technology and media to tell us what's going on, so that we don't think and just want to turn off our brains for long periods of time, which isn't something that the human brain isn't even supposed to do. Your brain doesn't even turn off when it's asleep. So you want to keep it flowing. You want to keep it going. You want to keep the gears going. And in that, you want to be able to go out in the world and do that with other people and share information and listen to different diverse ways of thinking and doing things, and challenge your own ways of thought. And that this is how we evolve collectively the fastest into becoming the most sentient beings that we could become, which is the purpose of us being here. We aren't here to make money. We aren't here to just chill. We are here to bust our ass in a manner that feels good and right to us. So, that being said, it's really important that we start communicating with one another, because People are dying, people are suffering, people are committing suicide, people are getting sick, people are ending up on the streets, and it's all because we're not communicating correctly. So this is the time when I'm going to step forward, and I hope other people like me will step forward and say we need to start tribally communicating to one another. um, Tribal communication, like I said, means that you actually connect to the person. It means you actually care about what they're saying. And yes, you even force yourself to care. If you don't, you actually think about it in a manner that causes your brain to produce new thoughts about it, that add to it, that you say back to the person, that make them feel acknowledged, understood, and embraced, and even even expand on their thought process, thus to both people sharing a reality and now evolving together, becoming collective. So why would you just want to be one little thing by itself when you can be part of the vast universe, connected to all, aware and connected to all the energies that are subtly going on around us, caring about each other's emotions, thoughts, and feelings. So it's people okay, people don't even feel like they can say what they think now, because people will ridicule them, put them down. People will tell them they are not allowed to think and feel what they think and feel. Instead of talking about it in a rational manner, in an intelligent manner, sharing information so that that person can become more educated about whatever the thing is that you think that they are not, or they think you are not. Everybody just cops out to some easy answer that they read on Google, or something that, politicians think, or that their family thinks, or that the church thinks, or that, whatever, that everybody just accepts. And that way, you don't make people uncomfortable and rock the boat. And people are becoming stupid, and people are becoming they're becoming intolerable, and they're becoming intolerant, and we're not evolving anymore. We're not just here. I mean, if we're just here to just sit, what are we, cattle? Are we just sitting here just waiting to die? I mean, if that's the case, just admit it. Most people are just sitting around waiting to die. And I'm at least willing to admit that I don't think this world is easy to live in. This body of mine is broken a lot because of lack of communication and isolation. I'm willing to admit that a big part of me does want to die, because it's not worth living with all of this suffering. I'm willing to admit it. I'm willing to stand up and face it, and I'm willing to tell you why it's happening. It's because we need a better connection as a community. We need a better connection. Not we don't The whole species is as one, seeing it as one. Yes, we are supposed to do that, but that doesn't mean we're all the same. And that doesn't mean we agree on everything. It just means we accept the ability for other people to exist, and we can accept all of it. And it's like, and that's hard, because over here, this thing that you see reminds you of something horrible that happened. But if nobody is directly getting murdered or their survival blocked, then that thing is just, it's just something you have to accept. We can't understand everything. We can't know everything. Everybody wants to know everything that's going on in the world and fill their head with all this shit that doesn't even affect their lives. And then when it comes to something right next to them, they don't even know what to do, because the person right next to you they could be mentally ill. They could be dying of an illness. They could be committing suicide tomorrow. People can't reach out anymore, because when they try, nobody cares. People pretend like they care, but they really don't. It's like people have subconsciously decided that people are expendable. And when people can't produce, and when people can't function under these circumstances, they become expendable. And then people stop communicating to them as much, or responding to their communications. And then that person just kind of shrinks off into the background and dies one way or another. It's a automatic reset. It's a self-destruct sequence that we have inside ourselves, and it's not going to stop. So some people want to die for a long time, other people decide to die for a short amount of time. But if everybody's just dying, then we're not really living. And the only way we can really start living is by expressing ourselves, and by being willing to actually communicate with people. Because I mean, you got to realize, like, somebody who's suicidal can call who they think is their best friend 100 times, and their best friend might just ignore them and say they're being annoying, and that's the night they kill themselves. Or somebody gets mad at somebody, and then they end up, getting drunk and crashing their car. And all these things are happening a lot. It was always true. It was always true that the way we treat each other, drastically affects our lifespan and our health and, our fate. But now people were in denial of that. and now it's becoming more true. I wonder when we're going to actually start caring, because all this stuff has been scientifically proven even at this point, and still nobody cares. So it's like, social media is another thing I wanted to bring up. Specifically, Facebook has an algorithm, and it's a computer algorithm when you post it. So I'm a fairly intelligent person who actually understands the way this algorithm looks, and I've looked at all the numbers and everything. And me and a few friends did some experiments through posting things and talking to each other and looking at the code. And what we figured out is that the algorithm on Facebook has like a sort of a collective preference guide that it goes by based on what everybody posts and what everybody likes, or what people report and all that kind of stuff. And it's almost like it has a consciousness that is it has preferences based on what the collective of everyone who uses Facebook prefers. Now, just because something is preferred or not preferred, that doesn't mean that it makes it right or wrong. It doesn't mean that it's preferred or not preferred within your friend group or within your community, within the genre of interests that you have. We both know that like just smoothing everything out to an average doesn't work, because we're too diverse, like I said. So, trying to make everybody the same like that is making people crazy. But secondarily, another reason why people are going crazy because of it is because people are posting things that aren't being seen, and people are feeling isolated because of that, because they think it's because their friends and their family and their communities don't care or don't like what they're posting, but they're actually just not seeing it. And so part of it is that they're not seeing it because the algorithm is just deciding it's overall inappropriate for the collective hive mind of what everyone has decided in all of Facebook metaland. And this is ridiculous. But then there's also the aspect that people actually do look at posts and stuff and don't like it and don't comment a lot because they're too afraid of what other people are going to think. So, I mean, and this Facebook has been a form of communication for people to reach out when they're feeling suicidal and all this stuff. It's not being taken seriously enough. I can tell you from my own personal experience of watching several people that had communication breakdowns lead to suicide over the last few years, and I'm trying harder and harder to make sure this doesn't happen. They reached out a lot, and they called out a lot, and it didn't matter because people ignored them, because people they don't take it seriously. It's weird. It's like people just kind of like, they don't take it seriously until it happens. And I mean, if you look at it, that means it's a collective responsibility, and that there is something that could have been done. So people are getting ignored. I myself have even been saying things because I'm noticing my brain kind of not functioning as well. I'm having some dementia symptoms, and I've been telling people this. It hasn't made any difference. I mean, there's been a little bit of difference of people trying to talk to me and stuff, but a lot of people don't take me seriously. So that's one of the reasons why I'm making this video. And it's not just for me. I want people to communicate better. We need to actually care. You need to be able to say something that other people disagree with, and those people will still be your friend and talk to you and actually have a conversation that isn't just copy and pasting something they read on the internet. Sitting by campfires and having long discussions, staying up all night, and talking about life and really connecting and feeling safe with people that aren't going to ridicule you, aren't going to make you feel bad for having a thought or a feeling, because otherwise, how do you create the reality that you need to have for your diverse lifestyle that matches with your personal evolution, whatever path that you're on, whatever goals you want to accomplish? You need to be able to feel the way you feel and think the way you think, and be able to go in a direction that is free to move and be however you need to be, to get your thoughts flowing. And because your thoughts flowing helps your body move, you're able to get rid of pain and trauma. You're able to get up and actually do the things you want to do, to work towards making the life you want to make. And we become paralyzed when our communication becomes paralyzed, when our thoughts become paralyzed, because we feel like we can't think something because of what other people think, because we won't be able to communicate it, because people are just going to all want to think the same thing or tell us we're wrong. All these fears that people are carrying around, we need to just be able to walk around and just just let it flow and let it out. Like that's a tribal way, you know, and no matter how far you go back and whatever your ethnicity is, you're tribal. And there's a lot of points in history, in tribal history, that created a lot of great art, a lot of great stories, a lot of great inspiration, times of peace, and things that need to stick around to inspire us forever. And that includes now in this time of our tribal history, because we can't do that. We can't let that connection to the organic frequency of the flow of life, and how you can't write it down. It's not robotic. It's not a math equation. You just got to be able to feel it. And so, I mean, without being able to communicate and receive positive communication, that's not possible. So I decided to talk to myself. Hopefully, this will also be talking to other people, um, about communication and how we all need to try to care more and allow different thoughts and talk about things and not get mad and not close off, and just, you know, let each other exist, so that we can actually start evolving and not just being these weird cattle slave creatures that aren't really doing anything that matters. And that's why a lot of us are just letting ourselves die slowly or quickly, and can't help it because our internal reset mechanism can't help but want to die in a reality where we can't evolve. So communication skills, yeah.